So let me start with everybody's permission. All are welcome to the first keynote session of the 9th International Online Conference on Universal Human Values in Higher Education, ICHVHE 2024, being organized during 22nd to 24th November 2K24, being streamed through Zoom as well as YouTube platforms. Pleasure to announce that Om Dorji Omji, Executive Director, Youth Development Fund, Bhutan, is expected to join us in this session. So, as and when she will join, we will welcome her. After a comprehensive view from the inaugural session, now I feel delighted requesting Professor G.P. Bagaria ji, ex-faculty HPTI Kanpur, to share his wisdom on the topic Vision for Humane Education, Fulfilling Human Aspirations, including SDGs at the root. Professor Bagaria is founding member of Manviya Shiksha Sanskar Sansthan, Kanpur. This Sansthan or center is working on humanistic education for universal human order. A well-known personality for his simplicity, knowledge, and strong commitment to introduce value education in mainstream education. A real guru through his state of conscious and acharya by the way of his living. Inspiration for all of us. Inviting you, Ganesha, with folded hands to guide us on the topic, please. Sir, please bless us. Seems some technical issue.
Sure.
Yeah. Ji, pranam sir.
Welcome everybody. It is my privilege to share the keynote address in this session with all of you. What we intend to do in this session is to give you a brief overview of what we are going to explore through this international conference ICHVHE 2024. That is Vision for Human Education. So the theme of the conference is Vision for Human Education, fulfilling human aspirations and addressing problems at their root. So we will discuss about these three things mainly. Number one, the approach, the solution-centric or problem-centric approach that we are going to take all through the process of value education. The holistic development and the role of education. And finally, the vision for human education. So these three topics we are going to discuss in this keynote address. As a process, whatever is said here, take it as a proposal and verify it on your own right on the basis of your natural acceptance. So very simple. Everything that is stated as a proposal here, you have to look into it and verify it on the basis of your natural acceptance. you are not expected to assume it to be true or false. And this verification is very simple and straightforward. For example, if I place a proposal that relationship, the feeling of relationship is basic to human being, right? In our interaction with other human being, you can ask yourself what is naturally acceptable to you, the feeling of relationship or feeling of opposition, right? This is something which can be verified by each one of us on the basis of our natural acceptance. So we can ask and verify what is naturally acceptable to us, the feeling of relationship or feeling of opposition. What leads to harmony and happiness, feeling of relationship or feeling of opposition. So like that, any proposal which is placed here, take it as a proposal and verify it on the basis of your natural acceptance. The second important point is that this whole transaction is a process of dialogue and not a monologue, right? A dialogue which begins between me and you, but it soon becomes a dialogue within your own self. And if you look at this dialogue within your own self, it is a dialogue between what you are and what you really want to be. So once you start asking this question as to what is naturally acceptable to me, right, what leads to harmony and happiness within, then this dialogue will start within yourself, because what you really want to be, right, and as to what is natural and what you are. So what you really want to be is what is your natural acceptance, and what you are may or may not be in line with it, right? So you can see your natural acceptance is to be with the feeling of relationship. But most of the time, you may have the feeling of relationship or feeling of opposition, right? So that dialogue within your own self will start. And the purpose of this whole exploration is basically initiating that process of dialogue within. So the purpose of this dialogue is to reinforce the internal dialogue between what you are and what you really want to be. With this, let's talk about the approach that we are going to take. The approach to fulfillment of human aspirations and resolution of problems, right? Solution-centric versus problem-centric. So if you look at the human aspirations, at the individual level, we all want to live with happiness and prosperity in continuity. And at the collective level, we want a humane society in which well-being of all is ensured generation after generation. So this is our aspiration. If you look at the concerns and the problems that we are facing today, we have the problem of poverty, we have the problem of inequalities, rivalries in relationship, and so many of them, right? So you can see like that there are many problems at all levels, broadly at the level of individual, at the level of family, society, and nature. And we are troubled by these problems and we want to get rid of them, right? Now the question is that when we are looking at the aspiration, are we making effort with clarity of our aspiration? So all that we are doing in our life, right, as individual and as collective, right, are we making effort with clarity of our aspiration? Is it clear to us that ultimately, as a human being, we all want to ensure happiness and prosperity in continuity for us as an individual, and we want a human society where well-being of all is ensured generation after generation. Do we have this clarity, and are we making the effort with this clarity? Or we are largely focusing on the problems, right? And even at the level of problem, are we making effort to resolve the root cause of the problem, or just to get rid of the symptoms? So even this is very interesting, that most of the time we are not even addressing to the root cause of the problem. Our major focus is just to get rid of the symptoms or get some temporary relief. Okay. There are three possible approaches: this problem-centric and problem-solving approach, which we predominantly take today; the solution-centric problem-solving approach; and solution-centric and solution effort. Right. So the focus is on the solution, and the effort we are making is for the solution. And in this, we start from individual to family to society and ultimately the nature and existence. Out of this, certainly what we are going to work with is this solution-centric and solution effort approach. So if you look at the current situation, we can see that there is a lack of clarity of human goals and lack of effort for fulfillment of human goal. And as a result, there is lack of fulfillment of human goals. So what we feel concerned about is the lack of fulfillment of human goal. But on the base of it, what we have is the lack of clarity of human goal and lack of effort for fulfillment of these human goals. So what we are focusing on the problems and trying to solve the problem, okay, in terms of their symptoms, right? Or trying to manage with the problem. The problems we have, you can see many problems at all levels: individual, family, society, and nature. And we are troubled by these problems and we want to get rid of them. The efforts to get rid of the problems, if you look at this, efforts are being made for problems at every level, individual to nature. And many people are making many efforts at the level of individual, families, organizations, movements, and all. So all kind of movements you see today, right, which are trying to address these problems or the symptoms of these problems. Take this example, right? The problem was the lack of fulfillment in relationship. So this was a real-time problem that we have been facing. And we thought that the lack of communication between people is the cause of this lack of fulfillment in relationship. And therefore, we thought that if we could solve this problem of lack of communication, or to be more precise, lack of connectivity, between the people, then the problem of relationship will be solved. So, effort to get rid of the problem, what did we do? We tried to develop telephony. Right? Technologically, we have the solution. Now we have mobile phone, right? Almost everybody, right? So technology is successful. About 80% of the population have a landline or a mobile phone. So technology is successful. But what has happened? The transmission has increased, the connectivity has increased, but has the communication increased or decreased? Has the relationship improved? No. So I keep quoting this example that in one of these international conference in Bhutan, the Minister of Communication was the chief guest, Minister of Communication of Bhutan government. And after this break for lunch, we were sitting together and discussing, and he said, "You tell me one, this thing. When I sit in my house with my son, and I have 4 sons, right? And all of them have their mobile, and they are all busy with their mobile, right? And there is no communication between us. What do I do?" So this is the problem of the communication minister. Okay. Now the same mobile, which was considered to be a solution for the problem in lack of relationship, has now increased the problem, okay, or has become the source of problem. So you can see that there are two possibilities: the problem-centric approach, where you have problem, you are focusing on the problem, or probably only on the symptoms of the problem, and then you are seeking for solution or symptomatic relief or temporary relief, right? For example, when you talk about health, are we talking about health, how to ensure health, or we are talking about the disease? And in disease also, we are talking about getting rid of the disease, or we are trying to manage with the disease, right? So if your sugar has increased, how do I manage with my sugar, right? So the focus is on the problem. If you look at the solution-centric approach that we are taking, there is clarity of all-encompassing resolution. Okay. There is effort for all-encompassing resolution. So this is at the core. So we ultimately recognize, identify the basic human aspiration, and we have the details of how to ensure this fulfillment of the human aspiration, and we are working for it. So that is something that we are working with, and in the process, if there are problems, we can make the analysis of the problem in the light of this all-encompassing resolution, and we can make effort to get rid of the problem, the root cause of the problem, right? So the focus is on the all-encompassing resolution, on the holistic solution, and in the process, we are also taking care of the problems at their root. So we certainly are going to take this solution-centric approach. So what I would do is to exemplify this solution-centric approach vis-a-vis what we are doing recently, right? We'll try to exemplify this with these 3 examples on SDG, health, and education, right? In fact, all these 3 will be discussed quite in detail in the panel discussions. So all 3 days we are going to have panel discussion on these 3 topics: the SDG at their roots, the holistic human health, and holistic value-based education or human education. I'll briefly mention about what are the possible approach that we are going to take and what is the approach that is being taken today in general. So look at this SDG 1. Okay. Now, if you look at the present approach, it's working on the program to increase the GDP for SDG 1, no poverty. So the first SDG problem is no poverty. So there is poverty and we want to get rid of it. So no poverty. And what do we do for getting rid of this poverty? Is increase GDP. Right? That is the solution that is being suggested. If you work with this problem, you find that over the period, the poverty remains and there are many side effects. Many side effects in terms of the environmental degradation, in terms of the resource depletion, and so on. But even in terms of what is the impact on this poverty, you can see this. This is the data over 27 years. 1990 to 2017, right? The low income group, if you see, the average consumption is 2.5 tons per person per year in 1990. That of the high income is 20 tons per person per year. So 8 times. Over 27 years, the GDP has increased significantly. But if you look at the distribution, the consumption of the poor income, low income group has come down from 2.5 to 2 tons per person per year. And that of the high income has gone from 20 to 27. Right? So effectively, the poor have become poorer, the rich have become richer. And the gap between the two has increased from 8 times to 13.5 times. Right? So we wanted to solve the problem of poverty by increasing GDP. GDP has increased significantly, but the poverty has remained. Right? It has worsened, and with so many side effects of the environment and the societal tensions and all those things. You can go into the details, This is an UNEP data available. So it doesn't work. That is the essence. Now, what is being suggested as a solution-centric approach is working for a system that aims for prosperity in every family. Right? And to ensure this, we need education so that everyone can rightly identify their needs, such that there is feeling of relationship. We need education so that every family has the skills for sustainable production, can produce something that is required. We have a relationship-based exchange system and not exploitation-based exchange system, focused on ensuring the fulfillment of needs. And then we have right utilization. And all this put together will result into feeling of prosperity in every family. Right? So this is going to be the solution-centric approach. And if we work with this, we will end up with ensuring feeling of prosperity in every family. This will be explored in detail in the panel discussions, as I said. Similarly, if you look at the health, right? The present approach towards health is that we are talking about the health of the body. And there again, we are focusing not on the health, how to keep the body healthy, but we are focusing on the disease. And not on the disease even, our major focus is on early detection of the disease through test and then managing this disease. Okay. So ultimately we end up with 4, that is medicine and treatment. So all our medical, kind of facility has to do with this. On the other hand, with the solution-centric approach, with the holistic approach that we are taking, we'll ensure the health of the body, which is at the center, but at the base of it will maintain the health of the self first. So the health of the self, the health of the body, and health of the environment. And when we talk about the health of the body, we'll talk about first the intake and the daily routine. Then we'll talk about the labor and exercise. Then we'll talk about regulating the breath and the body organs. And with these 3, along with the health of the self and health of the environment, we will be able to ensure the health of the body. But despite this, if there is a problem, right, then we can take care of that problem in terms of the problem which is in terms of the disease through medicine and treatment. So that will be our approach towards health. So in the panel discussion on holistic human health, we'll explore into this in lot detail. The third example is about the education. So if you look at the present approach to education, our focus is on skill education. With the solution-centric approach, what we are talking about is the holistic value-based education, right? And that is what is human education. And this holistic value-based education addresses the need of the self as well as the need of the body. And this will ensure right understanding in every child, the capacity to live in relationship with the other human being. And as far as physical facility is concerned, he will have the capacity to identify the need of physical facility, have the skills and practice for a sustainable production of more than what is required. He will be able to ensure the right utilization of the physical facility, and all this put together, it will be leading to the feeling of prosperity. So this is going to be the holistic value-based education, which is the solution for the problem that we are facing today, right? On the other hand, if we are only focusing on skill, the right understanding is not in focus. The capacity to live in relationship with other human beings is also not in focus. The core focus is to accumulate more and more, to consume more and more, rather than to produce what is required and utilize it rightly, right? So a solution-centric approach towards education will be a holistic value-based education, which is the core theme, or the human education, which is the core theme of this conference. And we'll explore into that in more detail. So if we sum up all this with example, what we are saying is that instead of taking this problem-centric approach, we are going to take solution-centric approach. And in this solution-centric approach, step 1 and 2, the clarity of all-encompassing resolution and effort for all-encompassing resolution is going to be the central theme, right? Something which will keep working on, right, in continuity. And in the light of this, whenever there is a problem, right, then we'll be able to analyze that problem, at its root, and we can make effort to get rid of the problem, the root cause of the problem. This is going to be a temporary. 3 and 4 is going to be a temporary thing. 1 and 2 is something which we have to work, go on working generation after generation. So now the question is this approach enough or something more is required? All 4 steps are necessary or something can be left out or added? This is something you have to explore. Now, what would be the order? We start with 3 and 4 and then 1 and 2, or we work on 1 and 2 and as and when necessary take to 3 and 4. What do you think? Yeah. So work with 1 and 2.
In fact, if you do not work for 1 and 2, then 3 will not be complete because the all-encompassing resolution is not there.
Yes. So even the analysis of the problem would not be, proper, complete. And therefore, if the analysis is not complete, you cannot handle the problem at its root. So to do 3 and 4 properly, you need to have the base of 1 and 2. And what are we doing today? That you can find out for yourself. So with this solution-centric approach, right, what we are doing, so under this solution-centric approach, our effort is for developing a shared vision and action for human education. That is holistic value-based education. And through that, the emergence of a humane society in which the well-being of all is realized generation after generation. So essentially, we are trying to work for human education, right? Developing a shared vision and action for human education, so that it will result into emergence of a human society in which well-being of all is realized generation after generation. And in order to do this, our basic effort is for mainstream education that is holistic and value-based. And we were saying that this holistic and value-based education has to be holistic, universal, rational, verifiable, and humane, leading to harmony. And if we have such education, it will result ultimately into fulfillment of individual goals of happiness and prosperity through the development of human consciousness. It will resolve the problems at their root, and ultimately it will result into human society in which the well-being of all is ensured generation after generation. So our approach overall is essentially this, right? And the purpose of this conference is to share this vision and action for human education. So this is about our approach and the core content of what we are planning to do. Now, to further elaborate on what this approach, for human education is, we will now explore into this holistic development and role of education. So we'll try understanding what this holistic development is and what is the role of education in ensuring this holistic development. So let us ask ourselves, what is the role of education? Right. The proposal from our side is that the role of education is to facilitate the development of the competence to live with definite human conduct. And when you say human conduct, the conduct which is in accordance with our natural acceptance. Right? So the role of education is to ensure this competence to live with definite human conduct. Let's explore a little further. Let us ask ourselves, out of the three types of fear, which is predominant for you? The fear of natural calamities, the fear of wild animals, fear of inhuman behavior of human being. What do you think? Third one, right? We have anyway taken care of the major part of this fear of natural calamities. The animals, they have to save themselves from us. But when you look at the fear of inhuman behavior of human being, is it on the decrease or on the increase? So it is on the increase. If you look at the literacy, I'm not calling it education, right? Because what we are doing is largely literacy. So literacy is increasing, and the fear of inhuman behavior of human being is also increasing, right? So if you look at this, 1947, the literacy was 12%. In 2011, it is 74%. But if you look at what Supreme Court has to say, the Supreme Court said today that the education system in the country has failed to achieve its objective and it has to be reformed immediately. So the human values are on the decline, right? It is unfortunate that today education, instead of reforming the human behavior, in our humble opinion, appears to have failed to achieve its objective. So this is what Supreme Court of India has to say about the human values, about our human conduct. So literacy is increasing, the human values are declining. The basis of definiteness of human conduct, if you look, You can see all units around us exhibit definite conduct except human being. So in the nature, all units have definite conduct except human being. And that is the source of fear from human being. Right? The basis for definite conduct, if you see, for the trees and plants, the conduct is based on the seed. For animals and birds, the conduct is based on their breed. But if you look at the human being, the conduct is based on their education and sanskar. Right? So you can see that if we are giving human education, they will have human conduct. If we are giving inhuman education, they will have inhuman conduct. So if you look at the outcome of the education today, right, and if the fear of inhuman behavior is increasing despite increase in the literacy, then the question is whether we are giving a human education or inhuman education. Right? So this is a question for all of us. The answers are very straightforward anyway. Right? So now we get back to this, what is the role of education? And now you can see the relevance of the proposal, that the role of education is to facilitate the development of the competence to live with definite human conduct. Right? And that is what we are working on. Who is expected to provide this education? The parents, the teachers, and the society in general. Is there need for such education? Yes? No? Yes. Are we able to ensure it? Not exactly. If we want to provide such education, what would be the basic requirement? So what would be the basic requirement for ensuring this kind of education? So that is what we want to explore next. If you look at the human aspiration, how we want to live and its fulfillment, right? We can look at the need and how they are fulfilled. So first is the need to survive, to live. And to survive, we need physical facility. But we don't want to live just like that, right? We want to live with happiness and prosperity. So if you want to live with happiness, we need physical facility, but we also need fulfillment in relationship. And similarly, to live with continuous happiness and prosperity, we need physical facility, we need fulfillment in relationship, but we also need right understanding. Right? So all three are required. The physical facility, the relationship, and the right understanding are required to live with continuous happiness and prosperity. We keep taking this example that if you are sitting in an air-conditioned room like this, right, and your air conditioner is working properly at 21 degrees centigrade, but the person with whom you are sitting, you have a feeling of opposition. What will be your state of mind? You will be in a state of happiness or unhappiness? Unhappiness, right? So that feeling and relationship is required. Similarly, if the other person has gone away and you are sitting alone, but there are contradictions in your thought, will you be happy, unhappy? Unhappy, right? So right understanding is required so that you can resolve your thoughts, right? There can be consistency and harmony in your thoughts. So all three are required. The physical facility, the relationship, and right understanding, all three are required to live with continuous happiness. So this is what we are saying, that right understanding and relationship are also essential for human being over and above physical facility. Right understanding in this self, relationship with human being, physical facility with rest of nature. Now you can ask yourself, are all three required? Is something redundant? Is anything more required? Do we need all three? Right understanding, relationship, and physical facility? Yes. So all three are required. Are we taking care of all three? Or are we largely taking care of physical facility? So we are largely taking care of the physical facility, right? Yes. Does physical facility ensure fulfillment in relationship? Does it ensure right understanding in this self? No. So though physical facility is necessary, but it cannot ensure fulfillment in relationship. It cannot ensure right understanding in this self. If all three are required, what would be the priority? That is question that you have to ask. There is a note saying that working on the high priority facilitates the actualization of the lower priority. So it does not mean that the higher priority is a priority and has to be fulfilled. The lower ones are not important. All of them are important. But the important thing about the higher priority is that it ensures or facilitates the fulfillment of the lower priority. We can see without right understanding, we cannot ensure fulfillment in relationship. And we do not know how much physical facility we require. And regardless of how much physical facility we accumulate, we feel deprived. So you can see for relationship as well as for identification of need of physical facility, right understanding is a must. We can also see that the problems in the family are more due to lack of fulfillment relationship than lack of physical facility. Therefore, relationship is more important than physical facility. And ultimately, physical facility is necessary anyway. So with this background, let us ask this question to ourselves. What is the priority of these three things that we are talking about? So right understanding.
One common question is that we have the tradition of saints and hermits who did not require physical. So can it be that people can only live with right?
Yeah, I'll come to that. But let's first sort out this priority. So if you look at this priority, we can all see that the first priority is right understanding in this self as far as human being is concerned, right? The second priority is the relationship with human being. And third priority is physical facility with rest of nature. All three of them are required. There is no choice to have this or that, right? We need all three, but this is the correct priority. So all three are definitely required. We can keep the priority open. So I would not say that you commit to this priority, but keep asking this question about what is the priority. Now we can see the outcome. When we are ensuring all three, and when we are only working on physical facility. Right? So you can see if you are working for all three, what will be the outcome? If you are working only with physical facility, what will be the outcome? Right? That we will discuss further. But let me respond to this question that in the tradition, particularly the tradition of India, you see a large number of people, hermits or sannyasis, who thought that the major thing is the knowledge, the right understanding, right? And physical facility is not all that important, or probably not at all important, right? But if you look at what was happening in the society at that time, this is being said or done in the background of a society which has enough. It is a very prosperous society, number one. Number two, the necessary physical facility like food, shelter is made available to everyone, right? Irregardless of who he is. So there is a famous saying, Atithi Devo Bhav. Atithi means anybody who comes to you about whom you have no information, right? Atithi. Treat him like a god. So that is the treatment even the very poor people were willing to give. So wherever you go, you are offered food. Even now, you see, if you go to the village, any house, they will offer you food, you know. So that was available. So it is not that there was no physical facility and they were, working without it. There was enough physical facility available. So everyone did not, need to worry about it exclusively or individually. The society was there to provide. And these people were supposed to pursue the knowledge. And with that pursuance of knowledge, whatever knowledge they get, they were supposed to serve it back to the society. So all these knowledgeable people were available to the society free of cost. And their responsibility was to go to every house and make this knowledge available. So this was a very clear-cut transaction, that the common family people were providing the support to these people who had, kind of seeking for knowledge. Okay, and these people were providing the knowledge to the people, right? In general, by going to their houses. In fact, you can see today, if we have to have such people, knowledgeable people or people who are seeking for knowledge, now we have to pay 2 lakhs rupees per month, like professor of IIT. And you can't even go and meet them, without their permission. So if you want to enter into the IIT, Kanpur, at least I know, you have to first, take the pass from the gate, the very entry point. He will check with the professor that this person wants to come to meet you. If he says okay, they will make the pass. Right? We had a system where these scholars will come to your house and deliver, right? With almost no, return expected. So physical facility is necessary even for them, but it was made available by the society in general. Yes. So
Excuse me, sir.
yeah.
So one question is here, rather one reflection is here in question answer box. Shubham Singh is saying that along with these three, Adhyatma is must. Adhyatmic mindset is also a must.
Yeah. So this Adhyatmic means what? Adhyatmic ultimately means knowledge, realization of truth, realization of ultimate truth. That is Adhyatmic. When we say right understanding, it includes the realization of truth. In fact, right understanding, if we see, means understanding of the harmony at all levels, starting from individual to family to society to nature and ultimately the existence. So when we understand the harmony in this existence, or we understand the existential reality, we have the realization of the truth, right? That is what is Adhyatma, right? So that is at the base. So ultimately, we all have to have that realization of the existential reality, realization of the truth, realization of the existence as coexistence, as harmony, as relationship, right? So if you look at that realization of the harmony, the coexistential harmony, right, and the relationship, that is what is Adhyatma. And that Adhyatma will in turn would mean harmony at all levels of our being, starting from individual to family to society to nature and ultimately the existence. So that Adhyatma is there at the base of this right understanding, or Adhyatma is there at the peak of this right understanding. Yes. So now, what we want to do is to see that if we are only focusing on physical facility, what is the outcome? And if we are focusing on all three with correct priority, what is the outcome? So if you are only focusing on physical facility without paying attention to right understanding and relationship, the outcome is that with the lack of right understanding, we are not able to ensure fulfillment in relationship. Therefore, we are in a state of unhappiness within and making others unhappy. Similarly, without right understanding, we are not able to identify the need of physical facility. And therefore, irregardless of how much physical facility we accumulate, we continue to feel deprived. And when we feel deprived, right, we tend to exploit others and deprive others. So if we are focusing on physical facility alone, this is the outcome. And this is sufficiently exemplified by the state of condition today. The state in which we are today, we are accumulating more and more, but we are unhappy and deprived, right? And we are making others unhappy and exploiting others. So in this society now, we can observe two categories of human beings: lacking physical facility, unhappy and deprived; having physical facility, unhappy and deprived. And you can find out where you are, right? Where we want to be is having physical facility, happy and prosperous. So that is where we want to be at 3. We are either in 1 or at 2. So find out where do we want to be and where are we now, at 1, 2 or 3. So we can see that we want to be at 3, but we are either in 1 or 2. And if you look at the whole civilization today, at most what it can do is to take you from 1 to 2. From lacking physical facility and unhappy and deprived, it can take you to having physical facility, right, unhappy and deprived, which will not suffice for human being anyway, either you are in 1 or 2. So this would not suffice for human being. Therefore, we are saying that living with physical facility alone is not going to suffice for human being, and therefore it is living with inhuman consciousness, right? I'll come to your question, let me just complete this part. On the other hand, if we have the right priority, that is, we are ensuring right understanding, relationship and physical facility, then we'll have the right understanding, and with right understanding, we'll have the fulfillment in relationship. So we'll be happy within and we'll work for the happiness of the other. So we'll work with mutual happiness. Similarly, with right understanding, we'll identify the need of physical facility and we'll be able to ensure more than what is required. Therefore, we'll have feeling of prosperity in ourselves and we'll work for the prosperity of others. So we'll work for mutual prosperity. So with right understanding, relationship and physical facility, we can ensure mutual happiness and mutual prosperity, which is the basic human aspiration, right? And therefore, to live with this is living with human consciousness, right? So ultimately, this transformation from inhuman consciousness to human consciousness is what is desirable, and that is what is the holistic development. So holistic development essentially means living with all 3, right understanding, relationship and physical facility in correct priority, ensuring mutual happiness and mutual prosperity, that is living with human consciousness, right, and ultimately ensuring the fulfillment of human aspiration, right? Now, what is naturally acceptable to you? To be on the bottom left or top right? Top right. Good. And where are we today? Bottom left. Yes. Are we making effort for transformation? Not much. So now we can see if this is the real, development, the holistic development to live with human consciousness, then this transformation is what we are calling as progress. So progress in the real sense would mean transformation from animal consciousness to human consciousness, or inhuman consciousness to human consciousness, right? Transformation would mean living with human consciousness, ensuring happiness and prosperity for oneself and for others through right understanding, relationship, and physical facility. And this is what we will call as holistic development. Do we need to make effort for it? Yes. And that is the effort we are making. Yes. So physical facility alone cannot ensure transformation regardless of the extent of its increase. Holistic development is ensuring all three. We'll explore into the role of education in holistic development. Yeah. Before I make the observation, yeah, there was a question.
So, Sir Dr. Devendra Kumar ji from Oman University, he's asking, sir, are we losing the spiritual aspects for enjoying the knowledge achievement and giving back to the society? Moreover, does the present professional education system making people more unsatisfied?
What is the first line? Are we?
Are we losing the spiritual aspects for enjoying the knowledge achievement and giving back to the society?
Yeah, in fact, we are not, kind of putting one against the other. We are not putting this spiritual education versus the, material education. What we are saying that if the education has to be a complete process for human being, then it has to take care of all three. It has to take care of right understanding, which will include the spiritual aspect and the intellectual aspect, right? It has to take care of the relationship, which will include the emotional aspect, and it has to take care of the physical facility, which will include the material aspect. And there are no contradictions between them, right? So we are talking about human education, which is inclusive of all three, right? So it will include the spiritual education, it will include the intellectual education, it will include the emotional education, the social education, and also it will include the material education. So all this will be included in this. Yes.
Namaste, Devendra Kumar ji. Mike is here with you. If you want to interact directly, you can.
Yeah. Good evening, everybody who are in the panel itself. Thank you, sir. So nicely you are giving us because me itself is the mathematics background and dealing with the engineers only. But nowadays, what we are feeling that the higher, highly qualified people, when they get the time to revert back to the society, they are doing suicides. They are not happy with them, and most of the time we are listening this. So where we are lagging are in our professional education, spiritual aspect is missing, or their emotional control is missing, or our in there is some gap between the professional education and the value based human quality some education. There is a gap. Something should be introduced, or any effort is going on from this area.
Yeah, see, what we are saying is that today the education is skill lopsided towards the skill. And what we need to do is the holistic value-based education, which will also include the skill education, right? So we have to have the all-inclusive system of education rather than just technical education or skill education.
what we feel that the students or the even professionals are also trained only technically. Like you said that in IIT, when we go IIT Roorkee, even I have my experience, IIT Kanpur, my experience. First, we need to take permission, appointments, then we can meet our professor. This I don't think so. It's a good system that we have adopted. Maybe it is because of security, but not a good system. Means they also have been highly professional or getting sometimes security, sometimes negative impact on the education system.
Yeah, true. I mean, the basic issue is that they are not related to the society,
Yeah,
right? And the outcome of education should be that they should be better related to the society than those who are not educated.
okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So if you look at this, all three are required. One of the examples you can see is that today there is so much a problem of hunger, and we think that it can be resolved if we had more physical facility, right? This data shows that, this is an UN data, it shows that we are already producing 6 times what is required for all the people on earth. And the wastage is enough to feed 1300 crore people. And we have only some 700 plus crore, less than 800 crore people. That means we are already producing more than what is required, 6 times, right? But if still there are people suffering of hunger, right, what does it mean? Is it a problem of production or a problem of distribution? Yet. Is it a problem of relationship? Relationship. And if you look at the problem of relationship, is it a problem of right understanding? Yes. Which essentially means it is a problem of lack of human education. So if we only had human education, which could ensure right understanding and right feeling, we already have enough physical facility, 6 times more than what is required. Okay. This is another important book which you can refer to. Long back, it was written in 1974, How the Other Half Dies. It says that by the time you read this book, and I presume that it will take 6 hours for you to read through the book, 400 people would have died of hunger or hunger-caused diseases. And this is not because there is not enough, right? It is because the first half is eating away the portions of the other half, right? Very life-transforming, book. So what it says is that the problem is that of the right understanding, that of the lack of fulfillment in relationship, right? We already have enough physical facility. So ultimately what we are saying is the role of education is to enable this transformation from animal consciousness to human consciousness, right? And then we'll discuss this, explore into this education, required for transformation to holistic development. So with this background and this need for human education, need for this transformation, let's now briefly talk about this vision for human education. I will not discuss it in detail because throughout the conference we are essentially trying to deal with this, and in the panel discussion in particular, we'll focus on the need of human education, the vision for human education, and ultimately the process of the implementation of human education. But I'll briefly introduce it as a part of providing with the background of what all we are going to explore in this conference. So the human education essentially would ensure right understanding in every child, the capacity to live in relationship with other human beings, the capacity to identify the need of physical facility, the skills and practice for sustainable production of more than what is required, right utilization of physical facility, ultimately leading to the feeling of prosperity. That means it will take care of the right understanding part, it will take care of the relationship part, and when it comes to physical facility, it will be able to develop this capacity for everyone to identify their need of physical facility. The skills, they develop the necessary skills and practice for sustainable production of more than what is required. It will develop the capacity for right utilization of physical facility. And interestingly, today if you look at what we are doing in education in the name of skills, these three are not covered. The identification of need is not done, right? A skill for sustainable production is also not there. And the right utilization is of course not even in the notice. So these three, would be ensured, and this ultimately would lead to the feeling of prosperity. If you look at the present state, the first one is missing, the right understanding part is missing. The relationship part, education on relationship part is also missing. And what is done in the name of physical facility, you can see identification of need of physical facility is missing. The willingness to produce by way of labor is also missing. The right utilization is also largely missing. Whether this is true or not is something you can look into yourself and find out, right? I'll keep it open. The core feeling generated is to accumulate more and more, to consume more and more, rather than to produce what is required and utilize it rightly. And interesting, so implicitly there, I keep quoting that one, example that when we were conducting this, first time we started this course in IIIT Hyderabad in 2005, we were interacting with the final year students and we asked, what is your expectation after you join the job or after you pass out? One of them very clearly said, good job means good salary, number one. Number two, job satisfaction. And number three, if possible, no work. Not many people articulate it that way, but that's there, hidden. So the idea is to accumulate more and more and to consume more and more, right? So this human education ultimately would mean having right understanding, which means understanding the harmony at all levels, harmony in human being, harmony in family, harmony in society, harmony in nature and existence. And then living in harmony at all levels of being, from individual to nature and existence, which would mean living in relationship with other human beings and ensuring the necessary physical facility through the interaction with rest of nature, right? Ultimately leading to mutual happiness and mutual prosperity. So this is going to be the core content of human education. And with this human education, we can have the human consciousness, right? And fulfill the human aspiration. And if you look at this human education leading to human consciousness, ultimately it will look like this. This understanding of harmony leading to the values, the human values. And this value guided skills, right, would result into living in harmony. So we need the understanding, the values in relationship, and these values will guide the skills. So we'll develop the necessary skill to live with those values. And we have those skills, right, guided by the values, we'll be able to live in harmony, right, with human being as well as with the rest of nature, right? And this all together will result into mutual happiness and mutual prosperity, right, which is the basic human aspiration, right? So this is how this human education will result into human consciousness and fulfillment of human aspirations. And this ultimately will lead to human society. So if you look at this human society, okay, through human education, it would mean we are taking care of the right understanding in this self. Through the right understanding in this self, we are able to live with justice in relationship with human being, starting from family to world family. And we are able to participate in the larger order with nature, from family order to world family order. Right? Ensuring mutual happiness and mutual prosperity. This all put together would result into a humane society. A human society in which well-being of all is ensured generation after generation. So this, in a sense, will be discussed through all these keynote address. In keynote address 2, we'll discuss about harmony in relationship. In keynote address 3, we'll discuss about harmony in society. And in keynote address 4, we'll discuss about how this human education or holistic value-based education can be implemented. What kind of effort is being made till date, and how we can take it to everyone, right, in India and all abroad. So ultimately, if you look at the overall transformation, it would mean transformation at the individual level as well as transformation at the level of society. So human education will result into transformation in the individual as well as the societal transformation. And overall, this would be the picture, right, which will be discussed in more detail when we are talking about harmony in the society. So you can see now the crucial role of education in the transformation is that through value-based human and value-based education, we have a holistic and human world vision resulting into human values, right? Then in the light of these human values, we have the skills for living with human conduct. And all this put together will have definite human conduct. That was the goal of education, we said. And with this definite human conduct, we will give rise to a human society, right? And our focus is providing this crucial missing link of holistic human world vision and the human values. Right? With this, the present skill based education will be finding a proper place in the whole human education. So this is what we intended to cover in this keynote, where we thought that we will place all the the purpose and the process of this conference and all the basic issues that we are going to reflect on. So I'll just sum up. The basic aspiration of a human being are continuity of happiness and prosperity. Right understanding, relationship and physical facility with correct priority are required for fulfilling the basic aspiration. Working for all three with the correct priority, ensuring fulfillment of basic aspirations is living with human consciousness. Holistic development is transformation to human consciousness, where we can ensure the fulfillment of basic human aspiration. The role of education is to enable these transformations. For this, the education has to ensure right understanding in every child, the capacity to live in relationship with other human beings, the capacity to identify the need of physical facility and the skills and practice for sustainable production of more than what is required, leading to the feeling of prosperity. So these are the three aspects which has to be covered by the human education. The parents, the teachers and the society have the responsibility of providing such education. At this conference, we want to share our experiences, discuss the vision and chart a way forward. So this is in a sense what we are going to do throughout this conference on human education. So with this, I'll complete my part of the presentation and I welcome any question. Yes, thank you.
Truly interesting to hear you, sir. For your information, Here we have delegates from United Kingdom, Oman, Uganda, Bhutan, and other nations. All are having mic, so I humbly request delegates to directly interact with Ganesh sir, if you wish. All are having mic. Hani Al Idrisi ji. We wish to get your reflection on today's talk, if possible. You have to just unmute your mic and give your reflection. Namgeji from Bhutan.
Good evening, Ganeshji.
Good evening. Good evening.
After a long time, I'm very happy to see you.
Yes.
I've been listening from the morning, and it's a great opportunity to get to be able to interact with you with you through
Yes.
online after
Yeah, we have been remembering
after
you with
many years.
Rajulji.
Yes, Rajulji just messaged me, so I'm very honored. I just wanted to say namaste, Guruji, and for it was a blessing for me since you came into my life. I am able to find a meaning in my life. Before uh, till 2000, I guess 17 or 18, into my recovery, I basically wanted to say that I was an ex-addict. So before I began my recovery journey, till 9 years, I was not able to find a meaning in my life. But then it all changed. My perspective, my outlook towards my life changed because of the blessing of Guruji. And I've been able to practice uh, not everything, I'm not able to practice every proposal, but then the essence of the natural acceptance always reminds me to look within myself. And because of that, I'm able to look into very deeply into Buddhism also. So I'm very much thankful to Guruji. Thank you, Guruji.
Yeah, thank you very much, Namge. Yeah, it was a nice time sharing all this idea with you and working with you. I'm happy that, it's making so much of difference in your life. In fact, interestingly, if we go with this holistic value-based education, go with these universal human values, we find that we are able to understand our religion better, right? Our way of life better, right? Because it touches the very essence of our being, very essence of the existential reality in which we are embedded as a human being. And therefore, we can understand whatever has been the expression at any given point of time and conditions, okay, better in the light of this universal, understanding of the existential reality. So, very nice. You are also exploring, the possibility in Buddhism to understand this fundamental existential reality in general and the existential reality of the human being in particular. Yeah, thank you, Namge. Very nice.
Thank you, Namgeji.
Thank you.
Ji. Ji. So we have Professor Bernard from Uganda. Sir, if you come forward to say something, yeah, you are most welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. I'm delighted to be a part of this interesting conversation. I'm sorry that I somehow caught it along the way, but I think I've captured the bigger part of it, and it is quite enlightening and interesting too. Great discovery for me. I just wanted to give my different side of the understanding of the presentation. Would I be right if I rephrased or paraphrased the presentation to mean that holistic education, holistic human education would be that sense of finding the equilibrium, the balance in life, and that because we are pursuing an education now that does not actually align to that balance in life, that puts more emphasis on some specific aspects of our being and our existence. That, for example, in the context of my country and the wider part of Africa, we tend to emphasize the examination, theoretical oriented education, and it remains at the level of understanding at the expense of the other domains of learning and education. So we have that tremendous imbalance in the way that we bequeath knowledge and attitudes, and then we measure the end and the outcome of that learning experience in a way that is really very artificial. And I think that is beginning to show in very dramatic ways, especially by having societies that appear really uncohesive. And I think that the presenter has brought out that very well. So there is a lot of emphasis put on the physical facility and leading to a sense of emptiness, disillusion, and disharmony, actually. So what I'm taking home from this presentation is the need to recraft our education system and the approach to it so that it is able to achieve the sense of value that translates into balance as harmony, as more quality living, living with others, living with self, living with nature. And that is great learning for me. I hope that I've captured very well the presentation in that sense. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. In fact, you have already concluded that the issue is living with balance, that is harmony. Right. So that says everything that I wanted to share with you. Yes, very nice.
Thank you, Professor Bernard. We have Sudhaji with Mike. We have SK Suryaji. All of you have Mike.
Upasana ji, namaste.
Ji, namaste, bhaiya.
Yeah. Dorji Om is there. Good evening, Om.
Oh, very nice.
She's in the panel, so you can
Okay.
welcome her.
Yeah.
Welcome, Om. How are you? Your mic is muted or we are not able to hear you.
Hello, good evening.
Very
Good
good.
Sampola.
Good evening.
I had a little trouble trying to log in. I
Yes.
was using my son's email ad also to see if I could catch who would like to meet Ganesh ji.
Yes, welcome.
Hello, sir. Lovely to hear you. And so inspiring to see so many people still. In Bhutan, it is 10:55.
Yes.
And to see all of you like this definitely this is a forum that is much needed, and all of you to look still so refreshing. So it's an honor, although I missed the greater part of your talk, I sort of understand the essence of what you're saying, and I really don't know what you want to, what I should be saying. But my name is Dojom, and I'm with the Bhutan Youth Development Fund, having been introduced to um, universal human values. And now I can't even remember how many years. It's been like many years. So, in fact, the Bhutan, especially in a country like Bhutan, where we believe so much and sort of live the gross national happiness, which is our driving um, development philosophy, but now it's not a philosophy, but it's actually become a part of our framework for our own development, for the country's development plans. So, and yet in a country that is so-called the land of happiness or the land of the gross national happiness, I think what Ganeshji brought in many years ago to Bhutan made our own understanding of gross national happiness even much clearer. Gross national happiness, which was a very simple, explanation coined by His Majesty the Fourth King, where he said gross national happiness is more important than gross domestic product. And but the way we have sort of looked at gross national happiness, we have made it into so academic that it became so complex that we fail to understand the simplicity in this word that was so simply coined as gross national happiness by His Majesty. And I think Ganeshji, hats off to you, because you brought that simplicity, something that is so profound and yet so simple. And since then, especially for at least for the Bhutan Youth Development Fund, and me in particular, and Her Majesty the Queen Mother, I think that was something that sort of opened our eyes, and we really began to look inward for that gross national happiness. And today, the Bhutan Institute of Wellbeing, I think yesterday or this morning, you must have heard from Director Jigme Tile. It has become one of our core programs within the, and Namge, you just heard earlier ago, he was working in our institute as well, a recovering addict, and then became a counselor. The institute now embraces universal human values. We don't call it the universal human values, but we call it the GNH journey, the gross national happiness journey, because it is definitely a journey that we are all going through. And this journey has no kilometers, no definite, the end. It is something that continues life after life. And we want to thank you because it has brought tremendous changes and transformations in the lives of the recovering addicts. And even people like me, I've been through a lot of religious books. I read a lot of books, but I think what universal human values say so simply puts all this, condenses all what I have studied and have read into such a beautiful, a simple book that is, I'm sure you all are familiar with that book. And today we teach that in the Institute. And I live it every day. It's not so easy, but yet it's not so difficult or challenging either. So, I don't know, I just feel so much of gratitude. Thank you so much for making us, I believe, more evolved, I guess. And we are still in the process of transforming ourselves. Thank you so much. I really don't know what else I should say. I have not prepared anything, but what I say comes straight from my heart. Dhanyabad.
Thank you so much, Om Dorji. We were actually waiting for you since starting of the session, and this is very nice to hear from you, your reflections, your feedback. So truly overwhelming. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I think the seed has been sown and now it is growing. So we need to get Ganeshji and Rajulji back. That's what the Queen Mother wants. It is the best time now. You probably heard of the mindfulness city in Gelifu in the south that His Majesty has envisioned. And I think that is pretty much in line with what Ganeshji is talking about. And we would love, we invite you to come and visit Bhutan. And we invite you to experience, I think, the gross national happiness, which is no different from the universal human values, and visit Gelifu Mindfulness City. It's got a fantastic vision. Maybe some people call it ambitious, but it's a place where a lot of mindfulness happens there. Your consciousness can shift when you are in that, the whole system. So we invite you to be part of that process. And I think universal human values, if you are thinking of an institute, I think Gelifu Mindfulness City is ready to welcome you.
Very nice. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You are so humble in your expression. Thank you.
Thank you. The universal human values taught us that. Thank you.
Agree. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Om. It's been a very long time since that COVID time we were going to come there. Now we are looking forward to your meeting you again over there in Bhutan.
Yes, please come. Just find a date and we will have you here.
Yes. Jigme
But
Thinley
then,
he has put this program in the Indo-Bhutan Foundation, Indo-Bhutan Friendship agenda. So we can look forward to some visits like that.
okay. Yes, I think you should. I mean, even if it's not within the Indo-Bhutan friendship, proposal, I think Her Majesty has actually mentioned to me many times that we should bring you. But just now it's very cold. But perhaps next spring might be a very good time. And I think we are quite ready and prepared to host, a mini conference. Maybe not such a large thing, but I do not know. These are some of the things that we can definitely have in Bhutan. And then I mean, we have the BIW. Then there is the school that is now practicing the GNH values. The universal human values. That is very much embedded into the school curriculum. We have started 2 schools, one in the village, which is now becoming almost like an. And then we have the the school in Thimphu. We started a school, by the way, and you should see what they do from the little children, right, from 2.5 years to grade 6. It's quite amazing. They do meditation, they do mindfulness practice, they do sharing, showing kindness, and then they are out in their classrooms are always out. It's not so much inside the school. They are out exploring. And in exploring, they begin to understand how they are part of the whole, the rest of nature.
Very, very nice. We look forward to seeing.
Yes, please do come. Please
Thank
do
you,
come.
Om. Name Same
All right.
Kadinche.
Kadinche. All the best.
Thank you so much. G. So Ganesha, very rightly you stated in your talk that in the absence of solution-centric approach, we have many limitations and majorly rely on problem-centric approaches. And you very genuinely integrated individual development, team development, and societal development for fulfilling human aspirations, including SDGs at the root. Heartfelt gratitude, sir, for a truly valuable session. Thanks a lot, sir.
Namaste.
The gratitude. Thank you everyone for joining the session. We'll take half an hour break and join again for next session. Thank you.
Thank you.
What is the next session you have to tell? It is the sharing session.
Yeah, it is sharing session.
Yeah.
So few individual and few institutional sharings are scheduled. So all are requested to join and listen everyone's experience. It's in different areas, different types of experiences as outcome of value education. Thank you.
Okay. Okay.